Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my! It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olsen and paranormal researcher Patricia Baker. Here are Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Supernatural Girls. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, psychic medium, Helene Olsen. Welcome back, Helene.
Hi, Patricia. It's so wonderful to be back on the air. I've been pulled by so many personal things lately, so I love being on with you, and I love the audience. You know, it's just great, and we have a great guest tonight.
Oh, my goodness. She is a filmmaker extraordinaire, and she is the keeper of the Dr. John Mack story. So we are going to hear all about this, and we're going to be name-dropping because she has worked with some of the biggest people in Hollywood. So it's going to be a great show, as always. But we have to check in with each other. Got to talk about the weather, lawn mowing, you know, all those important things.
Yeah, all the important things. Yeah, I know. Actually, the weather's been pretty good, hasn't it?
It was gorgeous. It's been gorgeous for the last few days. I'm so impressed that there isn't thunder and lightning over my head during the show like there has been.
There has been the last few times, but we've had nice warm days in the low 80s, and I live near the ocean, so it's been pretty breezy and nice and just beautiful out. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
It's when it's like this in New England, it just cannot be beat. It's been great, and I've been doing my lawn mowing, but it's not been as the religious experience it's been in the past. You know, I had some repairs had to be made to the lawnmower, and you know, it was kind of shaving things a little too close, and there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. So, anyways, I do the best I can, and I still get out there, and I love communing with nature while I'm riding around in my lawnmower. Highly recommend it, as you know. So.
Well,
my riding meditation.
My sprinkler system got fixed, so my lawn is green, and I'm so happy. And it might not be real grass; it might be other kinds of growth, but it's still green, Patricia. So I'm happy.
The green is green. We'll take it. We will take it.
Yeah. So that's been working out. Yeah. So.
Well, I also want to encourage everybody to go to our website, supernaturalgirls.com. And subscribe to our newsletter. Follow us on Twitter. We are doing live tweets during the show, I hope. We have somebody who is supposed to be helping us with that. And I hope he's on tonight because it's a lot of fun with live tweets. And also go to our Facebook page. And this way you can keep in touch with all the cool stuff that we're doing, the book giveaways that we're going to be doing with Llewellyn Publishing, and all of our Skoll, Beyond Skoll work, and all of these wild photographs that we want feedback on.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, my newsletter didn't get out yet, but it will be out tomorrow. And I'm going to post a couple of the pictures, so it'll be really good. Yeah. Well,
it's very exciting stuff, so don't miss out. Be sure to sign up on everything we got out there. And we've also got some incredible new guests coming up. We've got David Roundtree and Robbie Lunt coming up soon, talking about Demon Street, the true story of a very haunted house. Oh, fascinating book. Incredible. Yeah. And also William Hall is coming on, talking about the world's most haunted house, which was right next door in Connecticut. And, of course, we have one of our all-time favorites, Helene, Lon Milo Duquette.
Love Lon. He's amazing.
We all love Lon. He's the best. Yeah. And he is coming on August 20th, and with his new book, Homemade Magic.
Everybody will be interested in that one.
Everybody's going to want to hear this show. Yes. Yes. And Lon is so darn entertaining. So we're looking forward to all of these people coming on the show. And right now we have our world-famous numerologist, Patricia Kirkman, on the line with us. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here and drooling over you both talking about green grass.
That's right. You're in Tucson.
I have lots of cactus.
That's nice. I love cactus, though. They're beautiful.
Yeah, nothing to mow, though, huh?
Nope, not a thing.
Okay.
Not even. I would go out and buy AstroTurf, but it looks so phony. It just doesn't work.
Oh, well,
not that soft feel.
We got to get you out here with us so you can have your dose of greenery. That's all there is to it. Got to plan that trip out here.
I think we better do it.
I agree. Well, we have a very interesting star lined up with you tonight.
Yes,
and she plays the role of Caroline on The Vampire Diaries. What a talented actress she is, and I think kind of overlooked, but the role she plays she's excellent in it.
She's very good at what she does. She's very, very creative, and she has that knack of doing things. We have not even scratched the surface of where this young lady's going to go in this lifetime.
Really?
Very, very good at what she'll do. Anything to do with the creative arts. And it may not all be acting. She may end up doing something else. And I don't know why I keep picking. Maybe because her partner that she's engaged to is a guitarist and he's into music. But she's very much a singer and a songwriter. So she may end up going off the charts in that direction, not necessarily stay in the acting element.
No kidding. Well, she's much older than the role she plays, but she plays it with a lot of panache, and I just love watching her be a younger person on the show, starting off as a teenager, and then her role went through quite a transformation when she actually became a vampire, from a high school student to a vampire. But it's a very dynamic role that she has, and she's good at it.
She's excellent at anything. She uses her mind so well. She knows how to direct what she needs, and she is a child of the universe. Whatever goes on universally, she's also going through it personally.
And what's her life and destiny number? What are her numbers here?
Well, her destiny number is a 25-7, so she's here to be a teacher. And that's why I keep picking up the music, and something to do with that is going to do quite well in this lifetime for her. But her achievement number is a 9, so she's here, whatever the universe goes through, she personally goes through it. But one of the things that I've noticed with taking a look at her, she's very creative, very outgoing, very social, anything to do with that. She's great at being a rule maker, but she's the first one to be the rule breaker. That's also true in the role that she plays as well as her personal life. So I thought that was rather interesting.
Now, with some of the others that we've looked at in Supernatural and other cast members of Orphan Black and even in the Vampire Diaries, you've taken a look to see if they are intuitive or spiritual, and where does Candace line up with us?
She doesn't, not in the way that the others do. She does have that 25-7 destiny, and dealing with the 7 deals with a strong spirituality, but she has no 7s in her chart itself. So this is something she's here to learn how to work through, work on, and go forward with. She's very impatient, tends to be very impulsive. But that makes her very good at the singing and songwriting.
Yes, and I would think in improvisational acting she must be very good as well.
Definitely.
Being impulsive,
but her creative side is, she could sell ice cubes to Eskimos. I mean, she can do anything that deals with the creative. That's why I say the acting is just a scratching of the surface. There's so many more things that she's going to be known for before she wraps up her role in this segment.
That's great. Well, thank you for taking a look at her, another talented actress on the CW network. And today is a 6. What in the world is the 6 number mean for all the people in our audience? What does 6 do to us?
We have to look at it universally. And everyone needs to remember that this month for all of us is a review of last year's issues. So some of these things we get a chance to tidy up a little bit. We get a chance to pull things together. But the universal 3-day is all about self-expression, socializing, being creative, anything that we could do that enhances that. Makes us dreamers, but very scattered energy because we're trying to be a little bit of everything. Kind of that little terpsichore as we're going through life.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't want to look at last year again, Patricia.
Well, sweetie, the nice
I'm done with that.
Oh, God, I am too, but let me tell you, the nice thing about it is it gives us a chance to look at a few things and tidy them up a bit. That helps a little bit because we'll think of some things, well, like in this young lady's particular case. For her, last year dealt with family-type situations, and she was very involved with family, and that had something to do with her relationship, the making and breaking of it. So now this year, she's reevaluating what's really important to her, and that's what we get a chance to look at where we were. That helps us go forward in a more direct line, and that way we can shave off these little things that are hanging on to us that we really don't need anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Gives
so
us a positive
ending.
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling. Housekeeping. Putting out that call. And I know, Patricia, you and I talked about if we have some time tonight, I hope you can stay around, because if Denise Williams, our guest, is interested, you'll take a look at the numbers of her movie and everything else for her if she'd like to hear.
I would love to do that. I have looked to find her birth information, but she's very guarded. I can't find a middle name for her, and I can't find a birthday for her.
My
goodness.
I'm
going to have to ask her those questions.
She's a secret one. All right.
Maybe we can have Becky take care of that.
Okay.
That's right. We can have Becky do that.
Ooh,
so on a break.
Good.
So we'll do that.
Right.
And so all right, Patricia. Well, hang on, please. I'm just going to put you in another room here on the board. Thank you. And we are going to now introduce our fabulous guest, Denise Williams. Her first job in Hollywood was at Lucasfilm, working on E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark. She was a story editor and creative executive for 20th Century Fox, IndieProd and AIP. Denise was vice president of Kopelson Entertainment when they produced PLATOON, which won an Academy Award for Best Picture. No small feat. So Denise is now CEO of MakeMagic Productions and is producing John Mack, the true story of Harvard psychiatry professor and Pulitzer Prize-winning author, Dr. John Mack. So let's get Denise on the show. Denise, welcome to the show.
Hi, ladies, or I should say supernatural girls.
That's
Hi.
Right, that's
Hi.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
well,
what
thank you for
dream jobs you have had, huh?
Yeah,
yes and no?
They sound pretty good.
Lots of pressure there, huh, Denise?
yeah, working with a lot of creative types is interesting. But yeah, that's been a real privilege to have those jobs.
Wow, what an experience. And now you have optioned the right to Dr. John Mack's story. How did you become interested in this?
Back in 2000, and I can't believe how many years it is now, 2006, out of the blue, my ears started ringing. I was not aware of I didn't know John Mack. So I went to some Western doctors, and they just kind of shrugged and said, sorry, we can't do anything. And I walked around with it for a couple of months, and then I started to get a very strong intuitive message, which is not unusual for me because I'm very intuitive. And by the way, to your previous guest, I'm a double Scorpio, so I don't
She'll be happy to
reveal
hear that
much. Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm very intuitive. So I got this message that directed me to go to this particular place in Los Angeles and see this woman, and I did. And when I got there, I'm skipping a lot of the details, but when I got there, she asked me what I did, and I said I'm a film producer. and she said, I've been trying to get someone's attention in Hollywood, and no one will return my calls. I think this would make a great movie. And within 2 minutes of her telling me the story, I was like, yes, this is this is beyond a great movie. This is the story of our times. And that's how I found out about John Mack. I literally was called to it.
Now, had he already passed by then, or was he still with us?
Yes. He had passed a year previous. Yes, a year previous. And so I did research for about a year, and then I tracked down his family members and began that process of gaining their trust and convincing them that I was extremely sincere in the approach that I wanted to take, and that I would be very protective of the story and of his legacy. And that took 4.5 years to get to that point. So you're very, very persevering. This is an unusual story in that he was a psychiatrist and also a Harvard professor and also a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. He really stood out in the crowd. And here he is taking on the whole subject of abductees. So as I was reading some of your material and listening to some interviews, I mean, he even went on Oprah talking about this, which was, again, a breakthrough moment to bring this to a wide audience. And he was also very charismatic. Yeah, I mean, he was very unusual in that he was highly credentialed. For someone in a prestigious position as John Mack was, a psychiatry professor at Harvard is no small thing. So for him to come to to discover what he discovered, draw the conclusions that he drew, and then to champion the abductees, he called them experiencers, and then to go public, really on national television, on international television, was so courageous. I mean, this is 20 years ago. The subject is a little less marginalized today, but 20 years ago it was very marginalized, and there was a great deal of effort to ridicule anyone who said they were, had the experience.
But he made, the way I'm getting it is that he made so many enemies in high places over the subject matter that,
I think people were and still are very threatened by the subject matter, and that causes fear, and fear turns people do crazy things. So particularly his colleagues at Harvard were very threatened by it. They said, John, if only you had said you had discovered a new psychiatric syndrome, but you're asking us to redefine reality. And people don't like to change their, whatever.
Their belief about what reality is, rather than make room for things like this, which have been happening for thousands of years. So, and I do think there's an underlying reason, not only what you're mentioning, that people are stuck in their ways, but I think there's more to that story, too, of why this is so threatening to some people. But when he did all of his interviews with the abductees, from what I understand, he was very careful in cross-contamination. He didn't allow for that. He wanted everybody to meet him individually and no communication among the abductees he was talking to. Was that how he conducted his research? Yes, absolutely. He went to great lengths to keep them apart from each other for a couple of years so that he wouldn't be accused of them influencing each other, or they call it the collective consciousness, that people are telling similar stories because they've heard it before. But he worked very hard to avoid that. So he starts off on this path of interviewing abductees to see what their pathology is, and he actually thought he was going to find a pathology here. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. So he starts off on this road. He said to his wife,
he says to his wife, anybody who believes they've been abducted by aliens has got to be crazy. That was his starting position.
So he started as a skeptic.
So, yeah. Totally.
And then what happened? And at what point did he change his perception of all of this?
Well, it was a process. He began to study people from all over the world. He used everything he had in his psychiatric arsenal. He traveled the world. He corroborated stories that he was hearing back home. And he could find nothing, no pathology that pointed to any kind of psychological disorder, not sleep issues or hallucinations or delusions. There was just nothing that pointed to mental illness. And he said that the experience conformed to a particular narrative, which was very much like real experience. And so he became convinced that, they were not crazy and that they were not lying, based on his clinical assessment and judgment. And he had the courage to stand behind that discovery.
Do you think
which
he
is no small
expected
thing.
the kind of adversarial reaction that came about when he started to expose this?
No, he did
didn't
not.
Expect it, yeah.
He did not. And as a matter of fact, in one of his books, I don't remember if it's Passport to the Cosmos or Abduction, he says, if I had known, it's like I had no idea that people would get so upset. So, yeah, he was taken by surprise.
It must have been shocking. And you also said in your material that was online that his own wife couldn't stand with him while he continued his research and made these proclamations.
Well, imagine what that would be like. You have a life, you have a very lovely life, and you're highly regarded in the community. I mean, this is Cambridge society, no small thing. And the life looks a particular way. Then Dr. Mack goes off and does this work, and it shifts his entire worldview. All of a sudden, he is not exactly the same man, because his belief system is turned upside down. And so many of their friends, thought he had lost his mind. Sally thought he had lost his mind. It caused a lot of ripples. And who would like that? Who would like to have their life turned upside down? So, it was very difficult for her.
And did they have children?
Yes, they have 3 sons.
And how did the sons feel about this? The same way?
Each one had their own individual feelings about it. One son was somewhat embarrassed by it. The other sons were more accepting. It was confusing. You can imagine if your family member came home, the patriarch of the family came home, and all of a sudden was saying something that seemed crazy, and going on national television saying it could cause a lot of conflicted feelings.
Yeah, especially back then, as you mentioned, this is 20 years ago. But, Helene, I want to go back to something you said. Helene, I think you're right. I think Dr. Mack did make enemies at every level. I think you hit it on the head.
What I'm also getting with him is that part of this was a learning experience. Obviously, he went to great pains to deny that this was reality, that, some people's experience. But what I'm also getting is that he was actually a target of the beings that were with these people, and he actually himself became more cognizant and more intuitive.
Oh, completely.
I mean, I'm hearing right now that one of the reasons he floated into this in such a big way is because his own consciousness shifted into receiving information, which he had a hard time grappling with, but he understood it at some level before his death. Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah. I couldn't agree more. He did a complete 180. I mean, that's what makes him such an interesting protagonist for a film.
Now, did he ever talk about in his books? Because I haven't read the books or anything. Has he ever? Haven't had a chance, but did he talk about becoming more intuitive or feeling that he was receiving information from otherworldly places?
I don't know if he said he was receiving information from otherworldly places, but he definitely talked about going from being a left brain rationalist worldview kind of a guy, who saw things in very scientific, empirical ways, to becoming a heart-based, intuitive, spiritual man. Those are his words. So he completely, he shifted.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm also getting that he was targeted for this by beings, or however you want to play it, that wanted him in this spotlight for these people to help the world.
Helene, you mean he was chosen?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Well, I completely believe that. I mean, because he seemed like the perfect person to. He was humble. He was in the right position. He had the right credentials. He had an open heart and an open mind. So clearly, he was like the ideal person if in fact that was the case.
Yeah.
Well, he stepped into it with both feet, huh?
He did.
He had a lot of enemies. I keep hearing that. A lot of people
right,
against
Helene,
him. And even people that, and what I mean by that is people that he didn't know personally. There were a lot of layers
in what
to this.
sense?
A lot.
You mean because the subject matter freaked them out?
Well, the way I'm getting is that there were people behind the scenes that he really didn't know, who didn't want this information out there, period.
You mean like government people?
I didn't say that. Whoever you want to choose.
Well, and
right,
it's interesting. Well, last week we had Nick Redfern on talking, and he's done a lot of books on this kind of thing. And one of the points Nick brought up, which I found interesting, is that he didn't think that our government was all that informed on UFOs. I don't totally agree with Nick on that, but he said that what's really behind this is the shadow government. Those are the people that don't want this information out there. And those are the people that easily could have targeted someone like Dr. Mack, because he did have, as you mentioned, the credentials to back up what he was saying and change people's perception and have people kind of stick their noses in where maybe the shadow government didn't want them. So,
well, the reason why I'm not saying the word government is because what I'm really getting is that there were beings that didn't want this information out there.
Okay, so maybe some other
so
beings.
It's a lot of layers. It's a lot of layers.
Wow, he was caught in a big, big battle.
Well, Helene, I have a question for you then, because obviously in some respects, not in some respects, I've picked up the torch. I feel like I've been called to pick up the torch and tell Dr. Mack's story. So do you feel, I have my own opinion about this, but I'll pose it as a question to you. Do you feel that there's more support, cosmic support, now than there was 20 years ago for this story to go mainstream?
My guide is telling me that you are being protected, that the information is, across the world out there on many layers about psychic ability and cosmic information. But you're being protected to show him as a super protagonist, someone who stood for what they believed in and gave hope to people. And so your stuff is all protected.
Right. That's what I've been told.
And another thing, let me throw my 2 cents in here, too, for you. I also see there are 2 factions that do not want the story out there. So in your, we're going to be getting into this so people can participate in your crowdfunding for the screenplay and everything else you're doing to move the story forward. there are ways of, as I'm sure you know, working with that energy, turn it back around on them so that it doesn't continue to interfere. It has interfered, so I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I see it. But but I do think it's meant. I do think it's meant, and I do feel the forces of. I feel the force with us. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you are protected in this, is what I'm hearing. And even though there has been interference, and it's been a long road for you, and there's been a lot of roadblocks along the way, as Patricia said, it will all come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a story. Well, you have also jumped into it with both feet.
I have. I have
you.
because I have. I've really asked my whole life, how can I be of service? And be careful what you ask for.
Yes,
always.
I got my answer.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a privilege to have you on the show, really, because you have just as much courage as Dr. Mack, and you would have to bring this thing forward. And believe me, we really appreciate what you're doing. I know our audience does. We'll help spread the word about this. But I do have a question. Oh, you're so welcome. In terms of what Dr. Mack found, the similarities that he was able to piece together as he interviewed the abductees. I'm sure he found many.
Yeah, he did. Many of them, almost across the board, they spoke about the message from the beings about the destruction of our planet. The very strong, very consistent, very urgent message that we are facing an apocalypse of the earth if we don't wake up and start taking care of it. That was a consistent message. Another one was that the experiencers often felt a sense of kinship and connectedness, a greater feeling of kinship to life on Earth, but also a feeling of kinship with the aliens. And once they got past the trauma and the terrifying aspect of it, many of them had a sense that they had a dual human-alien identity. They felt that the alien self is kind of a missing part or a soul link to universal source. And interestingly, it would stay with them. They would yearn for that missing part once they were back living their earthly life. So those were consistent messages that he heard over and over and over again.
Fascinating. And, we had Dhani Yawahu, the Venerable Dhani Yawahu, on the show last month. And one of the things that Dhani has always said through the years is that when people are abducted, they're abducted because they are members of that family. So whoever's coming to take them, they are the relatives. So it's interesting that you're talking about what Dr. Mack found was this kinship, and that's certainly what Native Americans have talked about also, coming from the stars and all of that. But Tahani said, they only take their own. So so don't worry about it. If you're not one of them, they're not going to come for you.
Which, by the way, Dr. Mack was kind of dismayed that they never came for him, that he never had the experience.
Well, he didn't have the experience, but they came for him energetically to give him the messages to go ahead and push forward with this.
Right,
but he missed out on the ship.
Literally an abduction experience is what he was hoping for.
Now, were these abduction experiences by and large energetic, or did these people feel as though their physical bodies had been removed from their place?
Both. So initially, Dr. Mack was very in keeping with other researchers like David Jacobs and Bud Hopkins in the sense that he thought they were real, that they were actual three-dimensional experiences. And in fact, they were for many experiencers. But after a couple of years, as Dr. Mack got deeper into it, he came to believe that it was interdimensional. And that was one of the reasons we couldn't measure it, or that there wasn't quote-unquote evidence, hard physical evidence left behind, because they were playing by different rules of physics than we have any comprehension of.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's sort of like astral travel. If you're really into astral travel, you can go somewhere and feel the wind on you and feel the cold and feel the sand and feel the heat and feel as though you are physically there. But actually, your body hasn't left its place. It's just you've gone energetically. And so I think some people get a little confused about what's a real physical removal and what's a complete energetic connection.
Yeah, and how can we say that what you just described is any less real? And that's why Dr. Mack said it's real, right?
Yeah, it's real.
So that's why he said we have to redefine what reality is, because we're very limited. We are very limited. If you can't touch it or see it or smell it in our Western world, it just doesn't exist. Now, subject closed.
Did he examine or work with any people who had physical evidence, like implants, like physical implants in their bodies, metals or crystals, or anything like that?
Yeah, he did have experiencers who had like scoop marks in their bodies and different implants. So he did say that he had actual physical evidence, but I honestly don't know where he went with that.
Was there anything that you found in reviewing the research and talking with his colleagues and family members that you found very surprising or unusual or shocking? Anything that really stood out that you were surprised by?
Well, I guess you could say I was surprised by Harvard's treatment of John and their response to him. I mean, I think that's pretty shocking that an institution like Harvard would treat him that way and try to shut him down. The Alan Dershowitz quote is so great. He was a law professor at Harvard at the time who became aware of the committee that they had put together to try to discredit John. And he said, it's so interesting at a place of higher learning such as Harvard that angels are okay, but aliens are not. Meaning, sure, go to the theology school and divinity school and get a degree and, spend your life talking about angels, but God forbid you should talk about aliens. That is, forbidden. So that's pretty shocking if you think about
and
how
I want to go into that in more
like
detail
Harvard.
Because that was horrific when I read that and saw all of what he had gone through for such a long period of time. But we're going to take a short break. So everybody stay with us. If you have a question for our guest, please call in at 646-478-0828. That's 646-478-0828. And our call screener is Becky Shields. She does a great job. And, Becky, we're going to ask you to speak with Denise while we're on break and get all of her vitals and then relay them back to Patricia Kirkman. And that is only, Denise, if you're interested in hearing about the numbers regarding you and your project. It's totally up to you. So is that something you're interested in?
It's not something I would prefer to do on the air.
Okay, so we'll save it for after the show.
Feels personal. Okay.
Yes. So we'll save it for after the show, and Becky will talk to you and relay to Patricia, and then we'll hook you guys up.
Okay. Thanks.
So how does that sound? Does that sound all right?
Yeah, I'll think about it in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
When I talk to Becky.
You don't have to agree to it. This is
Scorpio.
a free service that we offer only our very special guests. But anyway, so hang on, everybody. We will be right back.
This is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the Organic Wine movement, Since 1980, I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With Cosmic Fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We have a great guest tonight, Denise Williams, who is a filmmaker, and she has optioned the rights for a fascinating story, and it is the story of Dr. John Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist and Pulitzer Prize-winning author who championed the whole experience of abductees, alien abductees. He came out and said, hey, these people, they're telling the truth, and there is no mental illness that I can find that's associated with these experiences. So, Helene, what a fascinating discussion tonight.
It really is, and the idea that he was able to give credibility to altered reality and other consciousnesses, just incredible, and he went way above and beyond the call of duty to bring it out into the limelight at a time when the information wasn't really welcome, right?
It wasn't. It really wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it still isn't. I mean, I think we all feel this way, that it's unfortunate, but there is still a stranglehold on a lot of the information, and we personally know people that have had abduction experiences, and they have not been treated very well. In fact, I love one of the quotes that Dr. Mack said, and I believe it was on the Oprah show. And Denise, you're back on the air with us, so tell me if this is correct. But I thought I heard him say this on Oprah, that no abductee wants to be in that club.
Totally. He said this is not a club that anyone wants to belong to. And
it's true. It's really true. Because people say, oh, they're making it up because they're going to make money out of it. It's like, I'd like to know who has become so rich out of their abduction experience. I just haven't found that person yet. And we've talked to some very high-profile abductees on this show.
Yeah, definitely it's an act of, extreme courage when someone comes forward. For instance, the young man that John Mack worked with 20 years ago, his name was Peter, and Peter's in his book. And Peter was extremely courageous to, go on Oprah with John and go on the speaking circuit. He certainly didn't get rich from it, but to know him as a human being, he's an amazing human being. So it benefited, something benefited him. But my position is it's time to bring it out of the closet. That everyone, it's just been marginalized and hidden and forbidden to talk about for so long. And it's really time to, bring it out, and shine the light on it. And let's just admit that, we are not alone in the universe. It's time.
And what do you think the benefit would be of that?
It's like if we could draw the parallel to our own planet. If there was only America, the United States of America, and we refused to acknowledge that there were other countries and other cultures and other ways of seeing things and doing things, because we thought that we were the only ones and we were the best and we were the smartest, what would we be cutting ourselves off from? So much. We couldn't even fit it into this conversation how much we would be cutting ourselves off from other cultures and the richness and everything that goes with the rest of the world. So just broaden that analogy to the universe. What we are missing out on by saying, no, we refuse to admit that anything else exists beyond planet Earth. The benefits are really beyond describing. We don't even know, because that we can't even comprehend what we would be letting in and allowing, and how it would help us and help us grow and evolve, and on and on and on.
Yeah, I agree. And it reminds me of Star Trek, which became such a cult hit, and a lot of people were asking, well, why? It was canceled by the networks and all of that, and people just wanted it. They wanted it back, and of course now we have all these other Star Trek movies, and then they had new Star Trek series. It's because people wanted it. And why? And one of the things that was mentioned is because it gives us hope. It gives us hope that there's a future, that there is something beyond Earth that is all-encompassing, as you mentioned. And it just opens up so many avenues of perception for people.
I also think that there's something in each one of us, a knowing. It's deeply unconscious or subconscious in the majority of us, probably. But I think there's a longing and a knowing that there's more. And it's like we're waking up one by one to wanting to be conscious of it, to have it, to draw it in, to make it real, to acknowledge it. We're at that stage in our evolution where it's time. That's how I see it, that it's innate in us, that we're connected. We're all connected. And so we're searching to acknowledge that other part of ourselves.
Well, that makes sense to me. But Harvard
it does
didn't
to me
agree,
too, but
did they?
You still have people, I think it was Stephen Hawking, who had some quote out there about if aliens are here, they'd just gobble us up or something to that effect. And I thought that was kind of short-sighted on his part.
It's kind of shocking from Stephen Hawking, right?
Yeah,
It's just, And you know, that's right in keeping with how Hollywood likes to portray aliens for the most part. You know, not 100%, but for the most part, that's something scary, and they want to conquer us. You know, and they're here to just take us over, and they're scary and negative, and we've been highly influenced by that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that John Mack's story has the opportunity to, you know, to present a different point of view about the subject matter, mm-hmm. because John was, you know, he approached it in a different way. That's one of the powers of the film, in my opinion.
Did any of his research? Yeah, that would be awesome. Did any of his research reveal that super evil, super negative part of the alien experience?
You know, they were not all, you know, yes, to some degree. They were not mm-hmm. all, you know, love and peace, and but you know, that's not where he put his focus. And in an infinite universe, I imagine, you know, there's every stage of evolution of being. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he did acknowledge that existed. Yeah. But it's not where he put his attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Harvard did a terrible thing to him. And this was like the first time in history they've ever done this? Is that true?
Yeah, that's the first time they ever put a tenured professor. We used the word trial. It wasn't technically a trial, but it was more of a witch hunt, in that they dragged it out for 14 months, and they grilled him, and they called witnesses behind his back, and they had already pretty much determined what the report to the dean was going to be before John was able to speak up for himself or call his own witnesses. It was pretty humiliating and shocking to John, and John was not prepared for it. When he first showed up, he came without legal counsel. He was, you know, he had no idea the committee was going to be as hostile as they were. So, on the advice of his good friend Thomas Kuhn, he wrote the book. Actually, I can't remember the title, but he said to John, "You better get yourself an attorney and you know, lawyer up, because they mean business." And John did. You know, he went back, and it became a real legal battle to save his reputation and to defend the abductees. Wow.
I mean, did anybody ever bring up the issue that possibly Harvard was threatened with some kind of defunding if they allowed him to continue on this path?
Well, I'm sure that was one of their concerns. You know, they didn't want to upset the alumni, and it was just, they were being asked to do something that was just beyond their paradigm. That just was not something that they could grasp. It was just too threatening to them. So I know that there are a lot of conspiracy people in our audience that will hear this and will also think that there's much more to this. And there may be. I mean, it would be very difficult to uncover it. But is that something that you're going to be addressing in the film? Are you talking about the fact that Harvard put him from all sides? Yeah, from Harvard and also other places that were basically on the attack with him. You know, I honestly don't know. It's possible the fact that, you know, I mean, I don't think the Harvard was a conspiracy. That was them showing John who they were, you know, and the rigidity in their academic paradigm. That's who they were, and they did not want him to require them to start, you know, thinking outside of the box, their particular Harvard box. So that was the institution at that time. Other conspiracies, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of opportunity if you wanted to see the story from that point of view, but I don't have any proof or any facts about that.
It would be hard to get that, absolutely, and I understand what you're saying. And also, as Helene mentioned, Helene, you mentioned earlier, that this is really a story about a very courageous man who wanted to help people who had been taken off world in one form or another and needed support, needed to be able to talk to somebody, needed to be able to put this in context, and he offered that to them out of the goodness of his heart. It sounds like if he had any fault, it was just being a little naive about what he was up against.
Yeah, and he admitted, down the road that he had been naive, but in a way, that's what makes him such a. I mean, the story, that character is a real hero's journey, and that adds to his likability as a character, the empathy that we can feel for him as an audience, the fact that he was open-hearted, that he didn't go looking for this, he found it, and then because of who he was, he did not turn away. I mean, that is a real hero's journey, and makes for a character you really want to root for.
How old was he when he passed away?
He was born on October 4th, and he was coming up on his 74th or 75th. He was born in 1929, so he was 74, I believe.
Wow. So now you are approaching this film a bit differently, and can you tell the audience how you're handling this, the finances of it, and the steps that you're taking, and why?
Well, we started out, once we had ensured the life rights, going a very traditional route in Hollywood, in which means you set up a meeting, you go in, you pitch the story, and if the company is interested, then, if they're very interested, then you make a deal, you partner, and the financing is provided through that company or through another company. And I got a lot of interest when I did that, and and some offers which had strings attached, which I couldn't agree to. And I ended up partnering. This is, it's public record. It's no secret anymore. I partnered with Robert Redford's company. And what ended up happening was they wanted to hire a writer who believed that the phenomenon occurred in the brain. And my position was my position. I mean, it was like anybody who knew John Mack's position would be, but that's ridiculous. That's Harvard's position, that this is a phenomenon that occurs in the brain. This is not the right writer. Well, Mr. Redford's company didn't agree with that and wanted to move ahead, and I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that, and so I left. And then I came up against that a couple more times where the story was just not perceived the way it needs to be perceived. I mean, the character was just, it just was going to go way in another direction. And so what we decided to do was raise the development money independently so that we are able to hire a writer, work with the writer in the capacity that will guide him, let him or her to draft a screenplay that reflects the story that we know the story needs to be, to tell the real story of Dr. Mack and his work, not to sugarcoat it, not to make it a Hollywood, feel-good story, but certainly not to imply that the phenomenon occurs in the brain. And that's why we went this other direction, which, by the way, is not easy. Do you know what I mean? It isn't easy. It's challenging.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked. With all the alien movies and all of this interplanetary, interstellar battle that they have and all these things that I don't watch, I'm shocked that all of Hollywood would want to go in the direction that you're talking about. That's really surprising.
Well, not saying all of Hollywood, but the companies that I talk to. And look, the way that Hollywood is set up is quite often, I mean, unless you're at the very, very pinnacle, and even then to a degree, things are developed by committee. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be a huge mistake with this story. It's so personal and it's so complex that in my vision, there's a core group of us who knew John. I didn't know John, but there are people involved who knew John, who loved John, who are advisors, consultants, and this is the core group that will be developing the screenplay, because it's just too important to let it become just another Hollywood project that gets, decided by committee.
And I have had personal experience along the lines of what you're talking about. When you have an idea for a screenplay and you want it written and you give it over to the writer, and then all of a sudden the writer hands you back something that you don't even recognize. And that's not a happy moment. So, you've invested time and money and everything else, and you get this thing back, and it's unrecognizable. And so I totally appreciate and respect your concern and also the way you want to do this. It would be very easy, on the one hand, to hand it over to Redford's people and say, run with it. Sure, go ahead, do whatever. And then the movie gets made. You walk away with your percentage, and it's done. But you have a real commitment to having the story told the right way. So I applaud you. I mean, This is no easy thing.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, yes, it would be, real privilege to say, yeah, I'm producing a film with Mr. Redford, but that's not what this is about. This is about something so much bigger, and I mean, there's someone out there. I believe there's someone out there who will step forward and say, I'm going to help you fund the development of the script. And I think it's going to be a real privilege for that person as well as for us to be involved in this. I mean, this is a story that literally can change, the world. It really is the story of our times. So now, for a relatively small amount of money, someone can step forward and help us.
How much money are you looking for? Let's tell our audience what you are exactly looking for here to get this going.
Well, our campaign is called Phase 1 Development, and we are looking for $450,000 to do a couple of things. Now, I want to make clear that this is a major motion picture, so $450,000 is really a small amount when you think about the final budget of the film, which will probably be somewhere in the area of $20 million, which will be funded by a studio, by the way. But what that $450,000 will enable us to do is hire the kind of writer that I've already been speaking with, by the way. I've spoken with many A-list writers, and some of them are willing to work for far less because they really believe in the commercial potential and the dramatic potential of the story. And they know that projects like this don't come along every day. So it will help us hire that level of writer, and it will help us to pay some other essential development costs, which we are legally bound to, which I won't go into, but that's what it will enable us to take a huge step forward. Because once we have a script, then we can go to an actor and attach whoever's going to play John Mack, and then essentially we have a film. Once you have a star, whoever that might be, then we are essentially financed. I mean, I'm making it sound simple. It's not that simple.
No, it isn't. But you know the steps. I mean, what's really nice about your position in this professional world of filmmaking is you know what it takes. You know the steps that need to be taken. You also know what needs to happen. You also know some of the right people in the business, in the industry, that could really make this a great film. So it's for anybody who wants to help to fund this, where do they go?
JohnMackMovie.com.
Okay, that's easy enough. And then they can contribute whatever amount they want to
whatever they
the
want.
screenplay.
Yes. And every little bit helps. And, and we appreciate it.
Now, do you have any particular actors in mind? And when you think of Dr. John Mack, do some actors you don't have to tell us who, if you don't want to give away any secrets, but do you have some people that you think would be good for the part?
We definitely have had conversations about it. It's a fluid thing because once you have a script, all of a sudden you're going, well, we thought this person, but, this person's kind of jumping out. But let me put it back to you. You're, as moviegoers, who would you envision as John Mack?
Gosh, that's a great question. I have to think about that. I'm thinking, who's the guy that played Wolverine? What's his name? This is how up on this I am.
What's his name? Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
I think he would be good. What do you think, Helene? Any names come to mind?
Okay.
I am so bereft of movie stars, actors, movies. It's terrible. I did see, and I can't recall his name, but I really like this actor who was on Letterman the other night.
Okay.
And he came out with a new movie about witches and something. I don't know, but he's really good. Won an Academy Award for something that they were talking about, and that's how foolish I am. I don't know. But I like Johnny Depp. I think he can do anything.
Yeah, he's quite a talent.
Yeah.
Yep.
He can do anything.
Well, I think if I had a script today, the first call I would make would be to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, another great actor, yes.
Because
he's an Academy Award winner.
So brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, he's so brilliant.
Yeah, and he could even kind of look like Dr. Mack, couldn't he? There's a resemblance there, slight, but it's there.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a chameleon, and he's got such an inner life, and he feels deep and very likable, and he's just brilliant, in my opinion.
Wow. Well, this is an exciting road, and what an exciting project. So, again, please give the website out for everybody. We'll keep repeating it, too, till the end of the show, and where people can go and they can contribute, if they so desire, for the movie to be made. JohnMackMovie.com. Really simple. That is really simple. So, did Harvard ever apologize for their horrible behavior towards Dr. Mack, or it just kind of all faded into the wind?
Yeah, it just faded into the wind. They basically wanted, they had enough. They granted him his academic freedom, and that was, the damage was done. That was it.
Wow. What a terrible
point. The dean felt that John had suffered enough and, wasn't going to take away his tenure or fire him. That was it. I mean, he had already been mocked in the press, ridiculed, headlines, made him look like a fool. So, what more were they going to do?
Just they should hang their heads in shame, those people that did that to him. What a terrible thing. An academic institution should have much broader sights than that. That's too bad.
You would
think
so. For sure.
Follow the money. If anybody wants to know what's behind this, I always say the same thing that we hear all the time. Follow the money, and you'll see why. And for his death, now I do want to mention this briefly. I know we don't want to harp on this, and neither do you, but when he was killed in the UK, he was crossing the street and supposedly killed by a drunk driver. Is that what happened?
Yes.
But yet somebody told me, and please let me know if this is true, because I heard from another person in the UFO field that there was another man by the same name who was killed crossing the street in the UK on the same day. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because Shirley MacLaine, I don't know if she started it, but she certainly perpetuates it because it's in her book, Saging While Aging. Mm-hmm. She talks about that, how she was close to John Mack for several years, and she says, oh, how strange that another man named John Mack was killed the same day as our John Mack. But here are the facts as we know them to be, and this is from the estate, John Mack's estate, who certainly is, privy to details like that. The police report for John Mack's death was filed at 11:30 p.m. Monday, September 27th, at the time of the accident. Then several hours later, there was a medical examiner's report filed, which actually went into the next day, Tuesday the 28th. And so there were two reports filed, but they were both about Dr. John E. Mack. And somehow that, through the beauty of the Internet, became the story that two John Macks had been killed on the same day in London.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because that seemed really odd. Really odd. And, of course, it feeds into the whole conspiracy thing that somebody didn't want him here anymore. So
Exactly.
Yeah, wow. Isn't that interesting? Well, thank you for clearing that up.
Sure.
Yes. So many abductees that, Helene, you and I personally know, would be thrilled to have vindication by someone like Dr. Mack, and certainly the movie would be a big step in that direction. So it would be great.
Huge.
It would be great to see this. And for all the people
who
that are persecuted, my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from day one, literally, I've seen this film as something that travels the globe, because this really is a universal subject, no doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, in Western culture, we're much more closed off to it than almost every other culture. But every country on the planet deals with this subject matter, has an opinion about this subject matter, has millions of people who have stories of their experiences. So I see this film as something that will spark a global dialogue about the fact that we're not alone in the universe. Simple, but really paradigm shifting, which is exactly what John Mack started out. Well, he didn't start out to do, but that's what he said. Time for a paradigm shift. And I think something powerful like a motion picture, a mainstream motion picture, it has the power to do that, to start a dialogue, which could,
exactly.
Right? I mean, it does, and can override government, secrets, and it has the ability to get the public talking and crack it open. So I have a very big vision about it and for it, and I continue to hold that vision, because that's what's been put into my heart about this project, and that's my mission.
I like it. I like it a lot, and I agree with what you said about it would start a dialogue, and certainly great movies do that. They get people talking, and you read about it in the press, and now we can see it all over the Internet, but it would get people talking. And I think it's so important to be able to see abductees in this light, because, again, they've been persecuted, they've been tortured in so many different ways by so many different people, and it would be nice to see this type of film come out and show all of that, and show what Dr. Mack tried to do for them at the risk of his own career.
Right. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
I've got a great quote to read to you and everybody here. It's by Philip Slater, who was a great sociologist and a fabulous writer. He became quite renowned when he wrote a book called The Pursuit of Loneliness. But my favorite book of his is The Wayward Gate, where he talks about how we do not make room for anything supernatural in our perceptions. And he wrote this book many, many years ago. And, again, he was another professor. I wonder if he knew Dr. Mack. But his quote is this. It's a little heady because he was a sociologist, but it's got a great message. And he says, the purpose of this book is to persuade the ego in its own language to enlarge its repertory of experience, to rule more democratically, more wisely, more openly, more richly. I want to convince the despot that it's ill-informed, that its own desperate need to control has strangled its information channels, that the result of this anxious vigilance is the impoverishment of its own experience and of the whole kingdom, and that its understanding of the universe is wildly erroneous.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, you might enjoy his book. Unfortunately, Philip passed away last year. It was somebody I was hoping to get on the show, but he crossed over. And, again, a great mind and someone who brought all of this to our attention through this book many, many years ago. So it's, again, looking at the date here, God, it was just another lifetime ago, 1977. So
wow.
We do need to open our minds to all of this, and we need to stop pointing fingers at people that have had different experiences than we have and make room for them.
Yeah, and start living from the heart, which is the other end of the spectrum from the ego that he was talking about.
Yeah, it's the longest road to walk. Don't you think?
Yeah.
From the head to the heart. It's a long road.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot more people have become awake and have joined the ranks of heart-centered thought in the past many years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, Helene. There are. Or we wouldn't have a show if that wasn't
better.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, people are aspiring to a whole new consciousness, and we certainly support that. And your movie supports that.
Yes, totally. Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else you can tell us about Dr. Mack's journey? I mean, we certainly now know that he's disappointed he didn't have an actual abduction, but as Helene mentioned, he had energetic transmissions, which was pretty exciting. But anything else that just stands out about what he learned from these abductees?
His traveling to other cultures was really fascinating. His work with Aborigines and with African shamans, and particularly his work with children in Zimbabwe was just amazing, and in a way kind of vindicated him because he was going through the Harvard debacle at the time, and he got a call from this BBC reporter and asked him to give a statement on what had happened in Zimbabwe. Are you guys familiar with the aerial school children sighting?
No, please tell us. I only read that briefly, and I know you did also, Helene. We talked about it a little bit, but please tell our audience about that.
There were, I think it was 62 school children who were in the yard in Zimbabwe, and they saw aliens, a ship. Collectively, they went back, told their teachers. Astoundingly, their teachers believed them, and the schoolmaster was concerned. The kids were having nightmares, and so he agreed to let John Mack come down and interview several of the children. And it's on YouTube. It's on our website, MakeMagicProductions.com. Some of the footage of John interviewing these 8-year-old children about these experiences, and it's astounding footage. I mean, these children could not be more sincere or more articulate in areas that they, had no previous language for. Like one of them said, the aliens said that we have to be, how did she put it? I can't remember. Sorry. It was about the planet. And, the children are just, it's so credible. And that really kind of vindicated John because, like I said, right when Harvard was conducting the witch hunt, he's in Zimbabwe and he's helping these school children. Oh, I know what the little girl said. She said, we have to be less technologed, otherwise the planet is going to die. And he said, is this something that you had thought about before, the state of the planet? And she just said, no. So I'm sure I'm getting some of the facts wrong, but that's the general story, that these children saw had this experience, and John helped them.
Very powerful when children are all having the same kind of experience here with the sighting and experience of aliens. I mean, we also, I don't know if he was aware of the Westall 66 experience, but I think it was one of the largest mass sightings in history that occurred in Australia, again by school children. And we had the filmmaker of that movie on the show giving us the inside scoop on all of that. It was another very interesting story of the same caliber. It was just beyond belief. I mean, how can people say these things don't exist when you have things like the Zimbabwe interviews and you have the Westall experience? It just, people need to wake up. But they are. As Helene, you've said, they're waking up. So that's all good. But, oh, my goodness, I can't wait to see this movie.
Me too.
Gosh, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. So everybody, if you want to help out, you go to johnmackmovie.com. Now, also, Denise, are you available if anybody has questions or whatever? They can email you and get a hold of you to the site?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So just in case they want to know a little bit more. And I know you and Becky and Patricia Kirkman have all been chatting on the break, and my understanding is, if I've got this correct, that Patricia has just some very general support, numerological support for you, and is that something that you're up for?
Okay.
Sure. Right. So very general. Sure. We know you're a Scorpio. We know what that means.
Okay.
We understand. We understand. So I'm going to bring Patricia back on. Patricia, are you ready to give Denise some numerological support here?
Most definitely. Denise, one of the nicest things about this is this year it has all been about your creative side and getting your communications out. You've reached out much farther than you even realize at this point in time. The details are going to start to do a spin as of about a month and a half from now. You're going to see a big jump forward in communications in September, but then your nose is really going to be put to the grindstone, and that's not going to stop for about a year. But at the end of that year's period of time, 13 to 14 months, you will have everything that you want laid out exactly as you want it.
Wow.
You're very, very detailed about things to the point of being a little on the anal side, shall we say. When you make up your mind to something, you don't let go, like a dog and a bone. But you've got this all laid out in such a way that it's got to go forward, and it will go forward. You've got some very excellent opportunities. You're always involved with the world at large, or things that are different. You and John Mack have a lot in common in many respects, because you're both concerned about what's just and fair, and you don't take any, there's no for an answer with you. Your creative side, and what you've got to offer others, is going to be nonstop. But you're going to start getting information back. I'm getting a year and a half to 2 years max before you can feel that it's either done or in the stage where it will be just about completed.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all very encouraging, Patricia. It sounds like we're going to be going to see this movie pretty soon.
I definitely know we will. I know we will. And your creative side is so strong, but your creativity is for everybody else.
What does that mean?
Everything you do is to bring up a stronger vision in a creative area that others can look at and have one of those aha moments.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and anything that you put your mind to, nobody stops you. You're a hard taskmaster.
All right,
you know
I like
what you
that.
need to do, and you're not afraid. You don't back up. There is no in your vocabulary, is there?
I guess not. I mean.
Well, that's what
like
it would take to produce
support,
this film, right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does take that kind of perseverance, I think, to get any film project from the stage it's at now into a place where we'll all be buying tickets. So Sounds like you're the woman for the job, Denise.
Definitely she is.
Thank you. I think so, too. Thank you. Thanks, Patricia.
You're more than welcome, dear.
Well, that's been
By the
helpful,
way,
I hope.
Somebody told me recently that John and I had several past lives together, which kind of does not surprise me that I feel such a connection to him, never having met him, for whatever that's worth. It was interesting to hear.
Helene, you getting anything on that?
Who are you talking to me? Oh,
yes.
Sorry. I thought you were talking to Patricia. Not getting past lives exactly. I'm getting the same energy stream or soul group. Mm-hmm. So it's a like-mindedness that grew together over eons. And so you were paired with him for a reason. Mm-hmm. And knowing him doesn't mean you were married to him or that he was your soulmate, but that you were somehow connected. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's an issue about justice and fairness that John has that actually is a lot of what you have, Denise.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very important to me, justice and fairness. Huge, huge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you won't settle to work with anyone that doesn't have a good sense of credibility and honesty.
True. Integrity.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So
well,
I
still think
everybody.
you would chosen
I mean,
for
you
this
think
job,
about the story.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of the story requires that. You know, it's a very classy, sophisticated, complex, powerful. It requires a lot, you know, and I'm aware of that, and that's, you know, I'm just, you know, I hold that knowing.
That's terrific. Really, you are the right person for the job. There's no question, and we all feel your communion with Dr. Mack, that there is that similarity, whether it's in past lives or soul frequency or whatever. We all feel it. I know Patricia does, I do, Helene does, and you do. It's all a very tight circle of connection. So we know you're going to get it done, and hopefully with the help of our audience members tonight and anybody else who you can pass this show on in our audience, please go ahead and do so. It's a very important film that needs to be made, and it will make a big difference in the world. It really will.
Thank you. Thank you.
It will.
So, Denise, thank you so much for coming on our show. This has been just a fabulous. It's just gone too fast. This is what happens.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great speaking with all of you. It was really a privilege, and I so appreciate your support and encouragement. And I go forward with your energy as part of the circle of intention and love and power around this film.
Well, you have our prayers and you have our support, and we want to buy a ticket for this film, so get it made.
Cool.
It will be
sooner
than we think.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
Denise.
you. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too.
All
what
right.
a lovely, lovely, courageous young woman. She's just great.
She was connected to this project for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fated. It's like a meant-to-be type thing, huh?
Mhm. It really is, and she herself said she was directed to it very strongly. So.
Yeah.
They brought it right to her feet. Yeah.
Yep. Very exciting. Very exciting, everybody.
Well,
Gosh,
what I really like about it, Patricia, is that she's bringing in the heart energy and the idea that we're all connected, and bringing that out as huge hope for humanity. And that's
absolutely. You know, Denise is somebody who clearly lives from her heart, and she's encouraging other people to do so with the medium of film. And it's a very powerful medium, as she mentioned. It's had a lot of impact on us in a negative way in the past with some of these horror films with aliens, and she's trying to bring this around in a heartfelt way, and we all certainly appreciate that. That's something that we all believe in.
Yeah. It'll get done.
It'll get done. We'll be buying tickets, everybody, so this will be great. So look, everyone, thank you for listening, and we have, again, many more exciting guests coming up in the months ahead. Make sure you're signed up on our newsletter, supernaturalgirls.com. You can find that on our website. We are on Twitter and Facebook. Make sure you're following us around everywhere. You'll find all kinds of exciting things coming up very soon. If you would like a psychic medium reading, then Helene Olsen's the person to contact. And you can find Helene at angelslighthouse.com. If you want a numerology reading, Patricia Kirkman can be found at patriciakirkman.com. And if you want just a general reading, some emotional support, or dream analysis, I can be found on Supernatural Girls website. You can just email me at info@supernaturalgirls.com. So that's how you find us. We are listed on the website, all three of us, and we are at your service. So everyone have a great week. We'll be back next Wednesday. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural